All right, we're going to talk about Moderna, mRNA, and they just got some really good news on developing their coronavirus COVID-19 vaccine. And I'll take a look back here at Sorrento first. So we looked at Sorrento on Friday, and we got this consolidation zone here. And so I'm going to cover the stock charts and technical analysis, cover the news, look at what mRNA is and how it's being developed. And so let's get a whole look at this, the whole thing. It's really cool. This is Brian Lewis with MMT Investing, and things just changed. So Sorrento, that we looked at on Friday, got this kind of consolidation zone where it got a pop and consolidated. And then over the weekend, we got another jump, and now it's trending down. And the charts are starting to go bearish now on this downtrend. And so that's an interesting look for Sorrento. And they're developing antibodies that they have said are they're 100% effective. They found one antibody that's 100% effective in fermenters in the test tubes. And they have not started phase 1 trials yet. And they want to start phase 1 trials on the antibodies in about 2 months. They'll start phase 1. So, I mean, this is an outlook for maybe getting some news in a month or two, and then probably would not be until next year that they could get these antibody treatments out to the public. And that is Sorrento Therapeutics, SRNE, with the antibodies. And they're getting this stock chart, and it's very similar to our Moderna stock chart here, where we got a similar pop and a similar consolidation zone today on the vaccine news. And so it's this type of consolidation zone where you don't know where it's going to jump to. And we're probably not going to get any more news on this vaccine than what we just got for at least a couple of weeks. But they're already in phase 1. So we got phase 1 results news from them. And what we got with the Sorrento was another jump and then a downtrend. So possibly on the stock chart, we could see something similar to that. But I mean, this one, it just went bullish and it's kind of just gone neutral now. And it's just like a neutral consolidation zone. So it's very hard to predict from the technicals what this will look like. And we're probably not going to get more news. And it's kind of a wild thing to be trading. But I wanted to jump over to the Moderna press release and talk about their vaccine and their phase 1 trials and what they have going on now. It's really cool. So here's Moderna investor press release from today, and I'll just read this intro section because it's really good. After 2 doses, all participants evaluated to date across 25 microgram and 100 microgram dose cohorts seroconverted with binding antibody levels at or above levels seen in convalescent sera. So that is a mouthful, but basically a small dose, 25 micrograms is a small dose that does not get adverse reactions, actually gets people to produce antibodies like people that have recovered convalescent sera, people that have recovered from the coronavirus. So it's working at 25 microgram, 100 microgram doses. And they're going to move into phase 2 and add 50 microgram doses and try to figure out the best dosages. And it doesn't say how many people have taken the study, but it says that it is working, and it's working at small doses. And so far, it looks like it's safe with minimal reactions. And this is really, really cool. Very good news. And let's and then Business Wire. So this Business Wire is the company that I worked for in San Francisco for 5 years, and it's a press release company. So here's a press release, and it just says that they're a biotech company that works on mRNA vaccines, and this one is mRNA-1273 for the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, and they just finished the phase 1 study. And the data for 2,500 gram doses, ages 18 to 55. I wish it would say how many people that they tested. I guess it's a reasonable amount for a normal phase, but 2 doses at the 250 microgram level. And after 1 dose, day 29, the data is available for the 25 and 100s after 2 doses, and at the 250 after 1 dose. So they're getting a lot of phase 1 data now, and they're figuring out the dosages that are working. So all participants at all ages, 18 to 55, and the 15 per cohort, it doesn't say how many cohorts, across all 3 dose levels, seroconverted by day 15 after 1 single dose. So it works, yeah, just a couple weeks after your first dose, it starts working and you start producing antibodies. And then at day 43, 2 weeks after the second dose, the smallest dose, we're at levels the same as people that have recovered from the coronavirus. And so that's pretty good. The small dose is working in a little over a month, and the higher doses are starting to work in a couple of weeks. And so they're working on the dosage levels, and it says that it's generally well tolerated, and at the low dosage levels, 25 and 100 micrograms, they had one person who had grade 3, which is just redness around the injection site. And then at the high dosage levels, 3 people had systemic symptoms, which is actually getting sick. And so all of the adverse events have been transient and self-resolving, and there's no grade 4 adverse events or serious adverse events. Like, no one's gotten deathly sick from this. Just a small instance of injection site redness with the smaller doses, and those are being effective, after a month or so. So that's the kind of outlook for how long it takes for this thing to work. And then we'll look at how long it's going to take for them to actually get this thing out. It says that the results with people are consistent with the results from their mice from the preclinical phases. And 50 to 100 micrograms is a good range. So they're going to add 50 micrograms as a dose to study from phase 2. And then phase 3 is going to be ready starting in July. So that's a pretty quick progression to phase 3 trials. And it doesn't say when to expect the phase 3 to end and go through the FDA approvals and kind of get approved. Further towards the end of the year, possibly next year, would be my best guess. And so Tal Zex, their chief medical officer, always smashes the like button to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and check out the playlists if you want financial data. And I have a playlist for these medical videos too, if you want to flip through all of this medical news that's coming out in the medical stocks. And so Talzak says that these interim phase 1 data, while early, demonstrate that vaccination with mRNA-1273 elicits an immune response of the magnitude caused by natural infection, starting with a dose as low as 25 micrograms. So it's a low dose that has small reactions, and we saw it takes like a little over a month to be effective as a vaccine, get you to create the antibodies. And Tolzak says that they believe that mRNA-1273 has the potential to prevent COVID-19 disease. And they have funding from Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, BARDA, which is a division of the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response, ASPR, within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS. So the government is supporting and funding this, and that is, I guess, part of Operation Warp Speed. That, I think that's what he called it. Trump was announcing Operation Warp Speed, where they're trying to advance the development of vaccines and antibodies. And so they have funding, and they're planning for phase 2 and phase 3 now. And it'll also support the execution of the studies and scale up manufacturing at both the company's facilities. And that is of its strategic collaborator, Lonza Ltd. So it's mRNA-1273, and mRNA is messenger RNA. So you just basically give the cell the mRNA, and it tells it what to produce. And it's a vaccine against SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus, and it's an encoding for a pre-fusion stabilized form of the spike S protein. And so that is what the mRNA is. And I've got an article about mRNA. I'll go over and explain why the mRNA vaccines are so exciting and potentially safer and faster to produce. And May 6th, the FDA reviewed it and allowed them to proceed with phase 2, which is expected to begin shortly. And May 12th, the FDA granted mRNA-1273 fast track designation, warp speed designation, and they're finalizing the protocol for phase 3. They're doing paperwork for phase 3 now. And so this thing is moving forward, and Moderna is an mRNA company. Their ticker, as we saw, is mRNA, and it's Moderna RNA. It's just very, very clever ticker, and they have a bunch of other mRNA vaccines that they are working on. Yeah, so they have some cool ones: RSV and para-influenza, the PIV3, and SARS-CoV-2 vaccine, and the normal flu virus, and CMV, Zika, Epstein-Barr, the EPV. So they are developing a bunch of really cool RNA vaccines, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go jump over and look at just RNA in general here, and just talk about the difference between a normal vaccine, and RNA vaccine, and why these things are so cool. Because a normal vaccine is you kind of give the body a fake or dead version of the attacking pathogen, and so it's like an inactivated disease-causing organism or protein that's made by the pathogen, and it mimics an infectious agent. So you're giving a fake version to the body, and then your body, you get your immune response, and then that immune response preps you to fight the normal disease. And so the normal vaccine approach, like you're introducing harmful stuff, and you can have a lot of adverse reactions. So mRNA is really cool because unlike a normal vaccine, the RNA vaccines work by introducing mRNA, and it actually tells the molecule what to build. It's not like you're introducing something bad and the body's trying to figure out what to do. Like you actually tell the body exactly what to build, and then you can code the RNA specifically to fight the pathogen, and the cells just create the protein basically that you're telling them to create. And so you're just passing RNA to the cells, and that's similar to what viruses do when they're reproducing themselves, is they're passing RNA into the cells and getting you to reproduce the virus. And so it's pretty cool. It's like antivirus literally. RNA vaccines are faster and cheaper to produce, and the vaccines also safer usually, and you're not producing infectious elements. And then it's laboratory-based production, and it can be standardized, scaled, and you can produce them and figure them out faster, and then you can scale up production faster. So this is really cool in the vaccine world, to be able to target down exactly how to fight the disease, and then you give your body the exact instructions on how to fight the disease, and it's quick. Like your body can do it faster, and you can actually produce and scale these things up faster and get it out to everyone faster. And so, I mean, this response to the coronavirus is really the first kind of trial run for creating RNA vaccines on the fly to fight a serious thing, and it's just a really cool thing. So most current research into RNA vaccines for infectious diseases and cancer, for which there are several early stage clinical trials. There's also some early research into the potential of RNA vaccines for allergies. So yeah, it's mostly for viruses and cancer, but they can be used for other things. And so there's a pretty wide scope once these things start getting produced, kind of to how they can be used in the medical field, and there's still a lot of work to be done for them to become standard treatments. They're still new, and in the meantime, we need a better understanding of the side effects and make sure they actually work, because we don't really know what's going to happen. We haven't really tried it. And if we go produce a bunch of these things for the coronavirus and give them to everyone, who knows what might happen. And especially with speeding up all the clinical trials, that's a bunch of added risk. So uh, people need to be careful about, delivering these things to everyone with very limited data on what's actually going on. And so about the production of these things, a major advantage is they can be produced in a lab just from a DNA template, which sounds like piece of metal or plastic or something. But these are DNA sequence templates and readily available materials. And I guess you have to go into the biology of DNA and RNA strands to see what those readily available materials are. But it's just less expensive and faster than normal vaccine production, which has to use like live eggs and cells and things like that, like chicken eggs and mammal cells. And there's a couple delivery methods, mostly injections or needle-free injections or nasal sprays. But the ones that we're seeing now are just needle injections, pretty typical. And then there's a couple different kinds of RNA vaccines. The non-replicating mRNA is the simple one, and that's just the mRNA strand. You just deliver it, and then it's taken up by the cells, and it makes the proteins. And then the second kind is in vivo self-replicating, where the mRNA strand is packed with additional RNA strands that help it to get copied once it's inside the cell. So you kind of give it helper RNA to make sure that it gets copied, and you can have a smaller amount of the vaccine with a bigger immune response. And then the third time is the in vitro, the dendritic cell, non-replicating. And so the dendritic cells, those are immune cells that can present the mRNA on their cell surface. And so what they do is they take the immune cells out of your blood, and then they transfect them with the RNA vaccine, and then they reintroduce those cells. So you have your own immune cells have the mRNA on the surface, and then they can communicate with the other immune cells, and that helps boost the response. And so it all just it's basically just the mRNA, but there's different ways to deliver it where it can get replicated faster. And the benefits are potentially safety, because you're not introducing harmful things. You're just introducing the message on what antigens to create, and efficacy. Early clinical trials are indicating that the vaccines generate a reliable immune response, and they're well tolerated. And that's what we're seeing here in these trials, is that, I mean, even with the medium-sized doses, the biggest responses people are getting are just injection site redness, and then production, as it's covered a few times in this article. You can just ramp up production in a laboratory, manner, and you can just produce lots of them. And then the big challenge is one, unintended effects. We haven't really tried them that much, and so we really don't know everything that's going to happen with them. They're new, and to minimize this, mRNA vaccine sequences are designed to mimic those produced by mammalian cells. So they're trying to make them as close to the real sequences as possible, so that you get the least kind of negative interaction with them. And then as far as delivery goes, the RNA strands are broken down quickly, so it's hard to deliver them and make them effective. So to help achieve delivery, the RNA strand is incorporated into a larger molecule to help stabilize it, package into particles or liposomes, like fat molecules. And then storage, many RNA vaccines, like conventional vaccines, they have to be frozen or refrigerated, so they don't stay stable for a long time, and they're hard to keep them stable. And so you're gonna have to, you need like these, cold chain refrigeration kind of facilities, and you have to ship them like on dry ice and stuff like that, and you have to store them at the pharmacies need the dry ice packages and the fridges and everything. That's really a pain in the butt. Like when you're going to pick up these things, like you have to go like right on time and get the thing, and it can go bad in like a week or 2 weeks. And then that's similar with like the biologic medicines that are coming out too. You have to keep them cold, and you have to get them to the right temperature, like when you inject them. And so it's easy to screw up injecting them and controlling the temperature on these things. So it's not a huge thing, but as far as logistics goes, it's a pain in the butt. It's not just like a pill that you can just throw in the closet or something like that. Like you have to produce them, keep them cold, and I mean, it's like food going bad or something like that. And then what else can you do with them? Yeah, they can be used for viruses and cancer and allergies, like it said in that other one. And yeah, so like, yeah, I mean, these can potentially cure cancer. So that's, I just kind of glanced over that, but they went and put another paragraph to reinforce that, yeah, this can be used to cure cancer. And who's doing this stuff? Moderna Therapeutics and CureVac and BioNTech are involved in phase 1 trials of RNA vaccines. And so I'll go look up these other companies and see if they're doing coronavirus vaccines. But they're all working on general vaccines for kind of like flu or cancer or random other diseases and stuff like that. So this is just a really, really cool field. And we get to see a huge amount of support and funding and everything going into this field um, and just making it a really, really, really important advancement in the health field that can, stop this kind of plague that we have going around now. And I mean, the flu virus is already a huge kind of plague that is, reinvents itself every year or two, and potentially stop allergies and cure cancer. There's all kinds of great outlooks here from the mRNA vaccines, and from what we've seen, they're really well tolerated. Like your body likes them better than normal vaccines. They're faster, quicker, more efficient, and we'll have to see what kind of side effects we get from these. But they look really exciting. And then as far as I mean, this is the Moderna video, but I'll go take a look at CureVac and BioNTech, and I mean, I can do stock chart. My channel is mostly stock chart analysis, but I have this playlist here for for the coronavirus and the health information. And, even if companies don't have publicly traded stock charts or something like that, I'll make these videos and throw them in this playlist. And you can flip through the playlist, the medical playlist, and see all of these ones and see what's going on. And this is not investment advice or health advice. And happy trading, and hopefully we get a vaccine and an antibody coming out soon to combat the coronavirus. It looks really, really exciting.